All right, hi everyone. We have 4 goals today. We're going to be able to define some geometric vocabulary. We're going to be able to use our midpoint formula to find a midpoint when given 2 points. We're going to be able to use angle bisectors to find missing angles, and we're going to be able to use angle bisectors solving algebraic equations. So let's start with goal 1, our vocabulary. So our first vocab word for today is midpoint. Midpoint. Mid meaning in the middle. So a midpoint is a point in the middle of a segment. So we learned in Unit 1 that a segment was a line that had stopping points. Okay? So our midpoint would be whatever's in the middle of that. Now, anytime you see segments that have the same number of dash marks like that, that means that they're congruent. And since these are congruent and that is in the middle, it is the midpoint. All right, a segment bisector. This is any geometric figure. So if you think back to Unit 1, this means points, lines, planes, rays, all that jazzy good stuff. Any geometric figure that intersects a segment at its midpoint. So for example, let's say we had a segment, and here's its midpoint M, and then all of a sudden a line went through that. This line would be called a segment bisector. So just remember that bi means 2, so bisector means it's going to cut it into 2 equal parts, okay? So this is anything that is cutting that segment into 2 equal parts, okay? All right. Speaking of the word bisector, our last vocab word for today is angle bisector. So it's just like a segment bisector, as in it's cutting it into 2, but an angle bisector isn't any geometric figure. It is a ray. A ray, and remember a ray looks like an arrow that divides an angle into 2. And not just any 2. Into 2 congruent parts. Okay, so anytime you have an angle, we have our angle, and a ray comes through it like so. If it's creating 2 congruent angles, so those arcs, since they both have 1 arc, means they're congruent. So that means that this right here would be a bisector because it's cutting 1 angle into 2 angles. So that's goal 1. We have 3 vocab words. So that's a goal 1. Goal 2, midpoint formula. So your midpoint formula, just remember, a point is written as x, y, right? So let's say we have 2 points. We have x1, y1, and we have x2, y2. So our midpoint formula tells us to find our midpoint, we add our x's together and divide by 2. And then we add our y's together and divide by 2. So your answer will be in point form. So it's going to be an x and a y. So it's like having 2 answers to create 1 big answer. So let's do an example. And just a reminder, this is an example from your actual assignment, from assignment 2. So you have 1 of your answers already from assignment 2. First thing I like to do is label everything. So I have x1, y1, and x2, y2. Now let's plug it into our formula up here. So we have -4 plus -10 divided by 2. And we have -6 plus -8 divided by 2. All right, let's keep working on that. -4 plus -10. If you're not very good with your negatives, please use a calculator to solve these, okay? So we have -14 divided by 2. All right, and then we have -6 plus negative 8 gives us another negative 14 divided by 2. All right, let's see if that can simplify. And all of your answers on the Google form will be in decimal form, not in fraction form. So we're going to take negative 14 divided by 2. And our answer is negative 7. Negative 14 divided by 2, negative 7. That would be our midpoint. Okay? All right. So that's example 2, or goal 2, done. All right, let's talk about goal 3, using angle bisectors to find a missing angle. So remember, an angle bisector is whenever we have a segment or we have a ray that cuts an angle in half. And this is the figures that you'll see on your homework. Whichever one is going to P, like this one here, this is your angle bisector, okay? So this is your angle bisector. So what that tells us is that angle 1 and angle 2 are congruent. So we need to find the indicated angle measure. So here's what we know. And again, these are examples directly from your homework for assignment 2. We know that angle 2 is 33, and they want to know what is the measure of angle TRS. So TRS. They want to know this entire thing. Now remember, if this is an angle bisector, that means 1 and 2 are the same. So if 2 is 33, 1 is also 33. Then how can I find what the whole entire thing is? Well, let's add it together. So we'd say 33 plus 33, and that gives me 66 degrees. Now you do not have to put in your degree symbol on the actual Google form. It's actually multiple choice, so you just got to look for it. All right, let's look at example 3 for goal 3, or example 2b. All right, this time they tell us that the measure of angle 2 is 49, and they want to know what is the measure of angle 1. Well, remember, if this is an angle bisector, which it is, that means these are the same. So if 2 is 49, 1 is also 49 degrees. Ta-da! That's goal 3. Using angle bisectors to find an indicated angle measure. Now, let's go a little step further with our angle bisectors, and this time let's throw in some algebra. So, we want to solve for x. We're going to do the same thing we just did. So remember, this is a ray. Remember that these are congruent because that ray is an angle bisector. So let's see what we know. We know that angle 2 is 3x plus 9. And they tell us that zxy, so zxy, the entire thing is 8 plus 8x. Now you remember whenever we did angle addition, and I told you, okay, the outside, what everything equals. So here that would be 8 plus 8x is equal to the inside added together. But you're like, we only know one of them, 3x plus 9. Well, remember, whatever one of them is on the inside, the other one is the same. That means this one over here is also 3x plus 9. Ta-da! All right, so let's go ahead and solve this. Let's combine like terms. Or you can just let's just do variables and constants. All right, so what this means is if it has an x, we're going to put it on this side. So we have 8x. And remember, if you have to cross the line, it turns opposite. So we have minus 3x, minus 3x. All right, let's do our constants. So we have a 9 plus 9. Okay, we have this 8. It's got to move over. Minus 8. All right, here we go. So 8x minus 3x leaves us with 2x. Again, use your calculator if you need help. You can take your calculator and go 8 minus 3. Okay? Then we have 9 plus 9 minus 8. That leaves us with 10. Okay, to solve for x, we divide by 2, leaving us with x equals 5. Ta-da! Okay, got one more example I want to do with you, example 3, part B. For goal 4, and remember this is also an example directly from your homework, okay? All right, you can pause the video at any time if you need more time to write stuff down. Okay, just like before, the one that has P on it is your ray. And if that is our angle bisector, that means these are congruent. So here's what we know. We know that angle 2 is x plus 1. And we know that angle 1 is 2x minus 9. Now, what else do we know about angle 1 and angle 2? If this is a bisector, that means what's in the inside is equal, right? So we know that angle 1 is equal to angle 2. So let's plug in what we know. Angle 1, 2x minus 9. Angle 2, x plus 1. All right, let's do this. Variables, constants. All right, if it has an x, it's going to go over here with our variables. So we have 2x. I want to move this x over. It has to turn opposite because I went through the line. And I have 1. Got to turn this opposite because it's going through the line. Okay, here we go. So 2x minus x is x equals 1 plus 9 is 10. All right. Again, that is an example from your homework for assignment 2. All right, please make sure you take a picture of these notes and submit them on Google Classroom so that you get credit for actually doing your notes. And do not forget to complete assignment 2, the Google form that lines up with these notes. Thank you, guys.